Hello, I'm Stuart Bloor. I'm on a gravel pit and that's the water behind me, and I'm after Tench. It's daytime and I've cast out, put some bait out, instantly got the ducks, the tufted ducks and the coots on the bait. Anyway, I'm expecting a fish probably dusk onwards through the night, which is the usual pattern here, although I do catch them in the day. Anyway, within minutes I noticed one of my well, I hear the alarm, of course. I noticed one of my rods is going. So of course it's the ducks, isn't it? It's the coots. I can see them. They've all been disturbed by it. They're all swimming away. So I expected to hook into one of those. Anyway, I hooked into a fish. So that was a lovely start and a very pleasant surprise indeed. And I've got it in the net, and I'm going to show you that right now. Well, that was a lovely start to a video with a fish. Usually, if you follow my videos on a regular basis, you know that I catch one towards the end, if I catch one at all, of course, because the video is just an accompaniment to the article. So that's really what it's all about. But any fish on the video is definitely a bonus, and it's great to start with a bonus, isn't it? Onwards and upwards, hopefully, from here, get some more. This gravel pit can get quite weedy, but at the moment the weed hasn't started to come through yet, so that suits me. I only fish it for a short time during the spring, and I still fish with a pop-up. And there's my my bait, as you can see there. It's a corn-shaped boilie from SBS, and I fish a double, but that's the top one, and then the first one that goes onto the hair is actually artificial corn. I don't know what you think about artificial baits, but for years it just didn't feel right for me fishing with an artificial piece of corn. But it was this particular water, when I first started to fish it actually with real corn, and I was getting so many grains just pulled off the hair, sucked in the day by small fish, that really through necessity I was forced to go with this artificial corn, and I was amazed to actually catch on it. And now, I suppose it's a confidence thing really, isn't it? Now I use it all the while. I also do, not this particular time, but I also do when the occasion is right, put some of these rig foams on. Just cut them, as you can see there, I've got two different diameters, and I'll cut them into the shape of a corn and fish those underneath a real corn. So I suppose fishing a double one with a real corn on top, or a corn-shaped boilie on top, that really gives me confidence. Although by now, having fished with artificial baits for some time, for years, then I've got no problem with that. And then of course there's the hair stop, and I always try to coordinate. So if I'm fishing with corn, I'll fish with a yellow hair stop. So that's my setup as far as bait's concerned on this particular session, fishing identical on both rods for the Tench. This is the same gravel pit that I fish for bream, and Tench and bream of course are very similar in terms of what they take and how you fish for them, and certainly my approach on here is very similar. But there are differences, and so I may use a slightly different bait or slightly different ground bait mix. But what I have found, and this is experience, isn't it? Although experience in itself doesn't automatically come, it comes through Watercraft and reading into the world around us, the water world around us. But what I have found is that, say, this swim, for example, there's a plateau, and obviously there are drop-offs and gullies and all those sort of things. It's a typical gravel pit. And what I've found is that the Tench, for example, may come on top of the plateau, whereas the bream, just a few yards away really, they may come from the base of the drop-off. And that's what I've found over the years that I've fished this particular place. So although I may tinker a little bit with ground bait, with rigs and so on and so forth, ultimately it's where I'm putting my bait. That's the important thing. And Watercraft is so important for us as anglers, because so many fishermen We go out and we just cast out. We don't even know what's in front of us. We don't know how deep it is. We just cast out and hope for the best. But if we can think like a fish, think why our good days were good and also why our bad days were bad, if we can get into that way of thinking, analysing each session, that's what I do while I'm here and on the way home, and often during the week as I'm planning a trip, I'm analysing, I'm thinking, I'm working things through. Those things will definitely give us the advantage. So if you want a tip in this video, Watercraft, start to think like a fish, start to get behind the usual cast out and see how it goes approach that many anglers have. Start to think about what's out there, how it works, how it comes together, and it will definitely put more fish on the bank. Those birds you can see out there, those tufted ducks and coots, they're over my baited area. Don't need a marker float, just catapult out to where they are. We're now into dusk, and this is the time when I would be expecting the tench to come on the feed on this water. That one I caught earlier today, right at the start. Actually, a couple of factors contributed towards that really. There was a lot of cloud cover, so that reduces the light that comes through, and also there was a ripple on the surface. Again, that helps to break up the light that gets through to the beneath the surface to the water itself. One of the things is with this place, it's very clear and it's about 2 feet down as well at the moment. So previously, where I was fishing on 6 foot plateaus of 6 foot of water above the plateau, should I say, now it's only 4. So those 2 factors definitely helped. But we're now heading into the period when I would be expecting to get amongst the fish. Having said that, you can't predict things on a place like this. But unless your bait's in the water, you're never going to catch, are you? It's now the morning, gone right the way through the night, nothing at all. The mist came down, probably see that on the screen there. Visibility was very restricted. It's just starting to go now because obviously the sun will be up soon and it will burn all this away. Most folks who go to bed at a reasonable time and get up at a reasonable time, they miss all of this. But for those of us who do stay out all night, we see some pretty bizarre weather because the day that we now about to enter is predicted as being a scorcher. So for most folks, all they will encounter is this incredibly hot day. But for me, it's been like a winter's night, or perhaps more like an autumn night really, when the mist comes down and it gets very damp and everything gets soaked. That's what it's been like. If I'd have known, I could have come, caught that tench and gone home. But that's fishing for you, isn't it? See you soon.